Tēnā koutou, kua hui hui, mai nei e mihi ana ki ngā mana whenua, ko Rachel Beckett toko ingoa, no Tamaki Makaurau ahau. E mahi ana o he National Strategy Lead ki, te Araahunga Ora Retirement Commission, nō reira tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora everyone, thank you so much for being here. That was my biggest fear. I was like, what if no one shows up as an event organiser? And you're all here, so thank you, thank you. I have the absolute privilege of working with many of you through the National Strategy for Financial Capability. And what that document is it's essentially a kaupapa. It's a way to bring us all together. It's a platform to work together from to help New Zealanders understand money. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about that. I know a lot of you probably haven't read it in as much detail as I do regularly, so I'll fill you in. And I'm going to split this session into about 4 parts. I'll first tell you what is the National Strategy, just a little refresher course, what happened this year, what did we learn, and then what is next. Oh, I'm realising I'm meant to be clicking, aren't I? Oops. Perfect. So what is it? Working together to help New Zealanders understand money. Jane touched on it a little bit at the start, but it has 3 goals. Consistent content. We don't want to be confusing New Zealanders with all the jargon that we're using, and we'll chat about a project that addresses that very soon. Working together, which is a big part of this mahi. It's coming together, it's learning from each other, it's having banks talking with community groups and government talking with different parts of the New Zealand as well. Coming together from this platform is a great opportunity, basically an excuse to kind of get everyone in a room if they weren't doing it already, but we know it's been a bit siloed. And demystifying money is obviously a big part of this, helping New Zealanders understand money. So basically our partners, we call you our partners, so thank you very much. We have about 500 plus partners on our database, all who work across the different spectrum of finance really, whether it be community, iwi, government, banks, the like. So it's all coming together and coming together to join in on this mahi. Nope, if my clicker works. There we go. So what happened this year? Well, you don't have to read all these words on a screen, but that is the 3-year plan, and we'll just chat a little bit about this year and where these parts or projects unfolded and where those are at. So one of the Te Araahunga Ora-led initiatives this year was a sector glossary. So this one here is just wrapped up now, and we're really excited to launch that for consultation from next week. It'll be up on our web, and we'll be asking for industry feedback, anyone who really wants a view over the next month until the 30th of September. So we're very grateful that we have all these amazing people from these amazing organisations coming together. It has taken about 8 to 9 months of discussions. We didn't hold them for 8 months, but it was about an hour session, or sometimes up to 2 hours every month, talking and going through every single word in detail. What's confusing? What are we seeing? Where are the opportunities to make this language consistent? And I think, bias here, but I think we did come up with a really cool outcome in the end. The glossary is looking really good, and we're really excited to hear your feedback on it. So just some examples of what this looks like. We have a little phase-in column, what we recommend phasing in, and a little phase-out column. So you'll notice credit on there, and something that came up throughout the glossary discussions was just the different definitions of credit, I suppose, and the way that it's being used. So are we talking about a refund? Are we talking about how much you can borrow? Is it like a credit limit? Are we talking debt? If we're talking debt, let's just call it debt or a loan, instead of credit. Another word in there, deficit. Bit confusing, a bit of an accounting term, so we hear throughout these discussions. Why don't we call it shortfall and try and plain English it together? And then the one that I found quite amusing was legacy, bequests, devises. It's really challenging to find anyone who understands these terms, but I had an amazing contact at Public Trust, Jackie, who talked me through them and said, this just means gifts, and these are different forms of gifts, whether it be property, cash, other things when people leave their estate. So let's just call them that. So these are some of the examples in there, and we really look forward to hearing your feedback on them and sharpening that up so we can go out to launch next year with this kind of best practice recommended recommendations of financial terms. So we're calling it de-jargoning money. So the next one on there is a stakeholder conference. Yay, I think we're doing that today, guys. That's very exciting. We did have to delay, but hopefully this will be around about an annual event, depending how we go. Fingers crossed. No more lockdowns. And then we had an online seminar series. So we tend to do these... we know there's a lot of information out there, so I tend to run a webinar if it's a real great chance to connect over a topic that we haven't before, to share research that might have come out, and to collaborate on different issues and opportunities facing New Zealanders. So one of the webinars we ran to collaborate was we invited people to join us in demystifying money, and that people through breakout sessions came up with some words that could be included in the de-jargoning money glossary for the working group to consider. We also spoke recently about the savings gap. ASB has some great research on that, and they touched on that today a little bit as well, where 40% of New Zealanders don't have $1,000 saved. And we thought we could go out wider and ask whether there's any solutions and ways that we can work together to start to address that. And we shared the research as well on different topics. So thank you to all. We had about 750 registrations across these webinars, so it is a great chance to connect together as a community on these different topics. So another one on there that we were tasked with leading this year is a shared impact measurement framework, and so it's a bit jargony how we've worded in there, but it's basically about impact measures, like how can we tell if we are shifting the dial for New Zealanders and their money? What are a few simple metrics that we can look at that will tell us and paint this picture for us? So we're working through that at the moment. We have a fantastic steering group, thank you to these great organisations involved, that are helping us address this, and we'll be starting some interviews with different providers soon to find out what's important and get a bit more feedback on getting the right measures in place. And the working group, or the steering group rather, have determined that what we want these measures to be are very simple to administer. We want just a few. We're not looking at 2040. We want them to be evidence-based. We want them to be culturally responsive, because we know wealth and money mean different things to different communities. And we want them to look at behaviours where it's possible to measure behaviours, knowing that that is a little bit of a challenge as well. So we will keep you posted on that. Perfect. And we ran Money Week, and that was, I think, 2 weeks ago now. So thank you very much, everyone who took part in that. We'll look forward to continuing that campaign next year. So some partner-led initiatives on there. You heard from the wonderful Riss and Tracy and Josie today on the It Starts With Action campaign. And so that was the first Shift the Dial project. And we've got some other exciting ones coming up in the next couple of years, looking at Māori and Pacific peoples as well. There was aligning SCAPE, and a long acronym I know, but that was a safer credit and inclusion strategy that was run out of MB in partnership with MSD and Te Puni Kōkiri, and that is now getting embedded into the strategy, and there's a lot more work that we could be doing around that. And the webinar that FinCap runs, and that's an annual thing as well, what's happening on the ground, and they ran that recently, and that was a really great, had really great uptake, about 120 people who are really keen to see what's happening in the community and hearing those perspectives. So thank you very much to all the partners and the people in this room that have taken part across these various projects. So just a couple of bonus extras. We have a national strategy governance group. So these are the heads of these different associations come together every couple of months, and we talk about the strategy and look at what more that we could be doing. So thank you very much to those organisations. And we also just wrapped up a savings working group as well. So that was looking at that savings problem that ASB raised around how can we encourage people to save, knowing that there are a lot of people in the community that can't save, but there are a portion of people that can, but are living payday to payday. So with the right behaviours and nudges, what can we do as an industry to address that? So that's just wrapped up, and we'll have some recommendations going through the Minister through the review of retirement income policies. So that's exciting. Lots of great ideas from these members of this working group. So next up, what did we learn? So number one, there's wonderful people in this room. I am so thrilled to have been able to work with many of you over the last year. What I was really surprised by was just everyone's willingness to come to the table and say yes, pretty much at every opportunity. If I asked about working group participation, looking at a problem, speaking at a webinar, even today, everyone who was speaking today was doing that in their voluntary capacity. So we're so grateful for all the wonderful people who have come together and joined us. So the other one is the power of coming together. That's a big theme of today and the financial capability community in general. We know when we do get industry, government, iwi, community organisations all together, then we really can get a picture of what's going on. We can learn from each other and we can start to address some of these really wicked problems. So particularly through the working groups that I've been a part of, everyone in that room was so valuable, and just having those different perspectives, we know there's a real power in that. The other one on this list is to focus. So we know we can't address all the problems at once, but what I have really enjoyed about the strategy is that it does focus on just a couple each year. We know that if we had everything on there and some really big audacious goals of, changing everything, that it's not measurable and we can't say that we've done it. So what I've loved is, say 5 or 6 projects, let's get these done, and then let's look at another one. We can't be spread too thin. We need to be focusing on areas that we know matter. And a bit of patience, like working with so many great people, particularly through the glossary project and a few of the other challenges that we've been working on with these working groups and steering groups. It's these things are going to take time, and we can't rush it because we're not going to get a quality result. So particularly with the impact measures, we really want to make a lot of time to learn from all of you who are out there doing this work to see what's shifting the dial, what's important, what can you measure. There's no point in trying to rush something through to just say, it's cool, we've achieved this, it has to be quality. And the other one that was also a little bit of a theme for today is education. And we know we are all passionate about education, people understanding money, knowing what it does. But what I've learned a lot in the past year is from people and also the research is it's not just about education. That's not going to be what shifts the dial. Like, that might help, sure, but it's that gap between the education and then the behaviour. It's actually making a difference from what you know, or actually doing something with what you know, which we hear that particularly with finance, some people don't really want to know. I can't remember the word someone used recently, but it's like psychologically sometimes you don't like to look at something, so you purposely avoid it, and sometimes that does seem to be the case with money. It's building on education, I think, and looking at behaviours and how we can start to nudge those. And then the last one is, I don't think we have done enough work looking at our target audiences. A lot more focus needs to be done for women, Māori and Pacific peoples, and I hope that we can take some learnings and pull them through in the next couple of years to look at other projects that can really shift the dial, and working in partnership with more communities as well. So what is next? What is in play for the next... we're doing this in financial years, sorry, so it launched in kind of mid-year and it goes to mid-year, so we're talking the next year. The New Zealand Bankers Association is tasked with looking at shifting the dial for Māori, and they'll be doing that in partnership with Tawhia. And that would be a really exciting project to see take place. We have the Financial Markets Authority that are listed in there as a Year 2 project to look at a shared resource library. And some interesting feedback recently has been, how good would it be if we had like a kind of shared knowledge base, or almost like a research hub as well, that brings together everything we know about finance and financial behaviour, and we have that accessible to all of us as a community. And even, say, if banks are trialling certain things, if that could be used in this knowledge hub as well, so we can say, oh, okay, that worked, that didn't work, and just share freely sharing our resources and information a lot more for the benefit of New Zealanders. So yeah, hopefully we can kind of pull that through into this project. We'll work on it with the FMA. And other things is we'll be refining that glossary from feedback and then launching it next year. Working on the consistent impact measures. We'll have ongoing webinars and research, and then obviously eventually we'll need to look at the next conference as well. So that will keep us a little bit busy too. And then other focus areas that I'd love to be able to start to look at is focusing on what we can do for target audiences more. What else? What are we missing here? Exploring next steps for the Safer Credit and Inclusion strategy, whether we need a forum set up to look at the most pressing issues and start to address them together. More collaborating and less duplicating. We know that might be an ongoing challenge, but so many organisations are doing phenomenal work. How can we bring that together and work together using the national strategy as a basis? The cost of living crisis is obviously a massive one, so that's going to have to be something that we keep an eye on and decide from a sort of perspective or even a national strategy perspective how we can make sure that we're doing what we can for New Zealanders in that space. And then also considering what else comes out of today's session. So we have a workshop next in kind of 3 different rooms, and we do want your views on where else we can be focusing on. And I'm happy to take on some of this, but as we know, it's also a community effort, which is why we're all here, and everyone's very willing to help. So it's about figuring out, what more we can do as a community. Looks like that's the end of my slide deck. Thank you very much all for being here again. Really, really appreciate your time, energy, and I've learnt so much from a lot of you today already, and look forward to hearing more. So thanks again.